I was working my way through the April 12th edition of Newsweek. On page 35, there was an interview with former Wyoming Senator Alan Simpson, who is now co-chair of the President's Commission to bring down the federal debt. Now, if you remember Senator Simpson, you will remember a feisty, no-nonsense, elbow-throwing, faithful Republican whose stare could reduce you to tears. The interviewer asked Simpson why things have become so contentious in Washington these days. Simpson responded, "No one forgives anyone for anything anymore. People get angry for just disagreeing with them. Remember the old AA phrase, if you can't forgive a person, it's like letting them live in your head rent-free." A few years back, the great scholar of world religions, Houston Smith, gave a lecture in which he characterized the most notable, most peculiar aspects of each of the world's religions. Islam, he said, is characterized by prayer, Judaism by its emphasis on family, and so on. And what did he say about Christianity? Forgiveness. It's unique to the faith of Jesus and to faith in Jesus to forgive enemies. We are living in a very unforgiving world. That's not news to anyone. But we are called to remember that God has forgiven us and that we can and should forgive one another. That's another of the things that Easter can mean to us here now. The power of forgiveness is something against which nothing in this world can stand. If there is one who has wronged you, forgive that one. If the church has wronged you in the past, forgive us. If your family has wronged you, forgive them. If your boss has wronged you, forgive him or her. Whoever it is and whatever they may have done, let the light of Easter shine forgiveness into that situation and move on. Otherwise, you're letting someone live rent-free in your head, and you're not living the life God created you to live. Forgive. And that takes us to faithfulness. I love the way the lectionary works this week. In the gospel lesson, we see these fearful, unforgiving, and unforgiving disciples hiding behind locked doors for fear of what the religious authorities might do to them. And in the lesson from Acts, their worst fears are realized. The apostles are hauled before the religious authorities and challenged to submit to their authority. Freed from fear, forgiven by their Lord, strengthened by the promise of his presence, Peter says to the authorities, we must obey God rather than any human authority. Wow! What happened to these guys? Easter happened to these guys. One of my favorite stories from World War II is the story of the siege of the French town Bastogne. General Anthony McAuliffe was the commanding general of the town of Bastogne during what came to be known as the Battle of Bulge. German tanks surrounded the town, and the German commander sent a long, detailed message to General McAuliffe that his only option was unconditional surrender. General McAuliffe wrote his message and sent it back to the German commander. It said, to the German commander, nuts! The American commander. Submit to any authority other than the one to whom I am accountable? Nuts! Peter and General Anthony McAuliffe have a lot in common. Neither bow to an authority other than the one that sent them. Freed from fear and forgiven for the past, we rediscover who we were created to be, and we can live freely and fearlessly. Easter means we can challenge whatever authority democracy, long before any of those things that seek our allegiance came into being, Christ was. For in him all things were created. Easter means that we recognize before the world that the risen one is the one who has our first allegiance, and that no one nor anything can take his place. What can Easter mean for us now? It means we can move from fear to forgiveness, to faithfulness. Easter means we can remember who God created us to be, and we can live into that memory in ways that will glorify God and make a difference in our world. Easter means that we can rediscover the power of Alleluia in every sphere of life, and that everything has been made new. All we have to do is rediscover it. May the pure light of the risen Christ lead us. May the power of the risen Christ flow through us. May we bear witness to the risen Christ through fearless living and abundant forgiveness. And may we rejoice, for now and ever.